Hofferman, right?
Yeah.
This is the Weekly Scramble, a place where we chat about life over a cold one or two. It's time to belly up to the pod with Mike Fratelloni and your host, Chris Reavers.
That's right. It's time for the Weekly Scramble. My name is Chris Reavers. By my side, his name is Mike Fratelloni with Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores. Hello, Michael.
How you doing, Reavers?
So, great.
You should be.
Much like how when we do the podcast, we're kind of the ancillary act following the Garage Logic podcast.
Yeah.
How many people do you think would have stuck around last night for you and I to sit up on that stage and do a show after the Garage Logic 1000th podcast at the Hopkins Center for the Arts, which I kept including the word performance, and that's not included in the title.
You know what? The one person who wouldn't have stayed? Who do you think would be the one person who wouldn't have stayed to watch us?
Joe.
Yeah. And not only do I know that for sure.
Joe barely stuck around for his own show.
He was gone. He was gone instantaneously. I couldn't believe when he was putting on his jacket. Okay, so I went to the show along with like 1,000 other people or 750 other people to watch the show. And at the very end of the show, you guys were winding down, right? You had made some comments, hey, we got to be out of here by 9 o'clock, blah, 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 blah. Joe's putting on his jacket. Everyone thought it was a bit. Because he's putting on his jacket, he's loading his bag, he's just going to run out of here. Sure enough, I had to go pick up my daughter at volleyball in Maplewood, from Hopkins to Maplewood at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
So I needed to get out of there. So I left a couple minutes after you started talking. I walked across the street to the bar. I see Joe walk into his car, and I'm like, wait. Now what? So I was first out. Joe was second out, and he was gone. And I was like, "Oh, he really put on his jacket and was out of there."
Not a bit.
Not a bit. It was totally true. What a Reavers. I'm not. My words will not do this justice.
I'm interested to get your perspective on this because not only are you part of our show, but you are genuinely a fan of the show.
It was so great.
Cool.
You guys did such a great job. The only thing that I felt bad for you guys is because it was a performance center, right? The audience was blacked out, darked out. You couldn't see them. Your lights were so bright, but you couldn't see us. And everyone had a smile from ear to ear and I hope you could hear it well enough. When you would say something, we would just repeat, Mapumalonga. It was so cool to be with everybody. Everyone was laughing. You had the best line of the night, right?
So come on.
Joe was talking about this new Corvette and how he said, and we had talked about Russian prostitution before that, and right after that, or we didn't talk about it, you guys talked about that, and then we were talking about the Corvette, you guys were talking about the Corvette, and he said, well, I don't want to own one, but I'd love to drive one, and then Reaver said...
Just like prostitution.
But the way you did it, the crowd went nuts. You took a standing O.
I did.
Right? You literally, you had
hammed it up.
Yeah, you hammed it up. Clapping happened for about 15 seconds, maybe even a little bit longer. It was so much fun. I was so glad. You know how sometimes you have to convince your wife to go like, honey, let's go. Right? And she's a big fan of Kenny, so I'm like, Kenny will be there. Kenny, of course, wouldn't recognize her or me, but definitely she recognized him. And she had a blast. I mean,
cool.
it was so well done.
Good.
I'm trying to think. At 1,000 is obviously a landmark, right? But you guys have to do that again. You could almost take that show on the road.
What's interesting is, I've been in radio for, 20 whatever years it's been. And you do a lot of different remotes and you get creative a lot of different things. We've done some, or I should just say me because I've worked for different stations, but I've been a part of some broadcasts in some really tough spots.
Sure.
Hey, we're in a broom closet at a whatever, right? That was so perfect because we had the area for the pregame, thanks to 30 Bales, because it was a fantastic spot.
Absolutely. So
right
cool.
across the street where people could eat, grab something to drink, whatever. And of course, they have a phenomenal staff. You walked across the street to a gorgeous stage and arena, basically, which was cool, and it accommodated exactly the number of people we needed it to accommodate. And it worked out great. I mean, there was really, and the only person that I heard anything negative from was the guy that hosts the show.
Really?
Well, and then I shouldn't phrase it that way, but all he said was, it was too late. I got home too late.
He was out of there at 8 o'clock. But he couldn't have gotten home that late.
But he's a man of routine.
Sure.
So, I get, so that was the only really thing that I thought, because I didn't get home until almost 11 o'clock.
So the best part about it is I go over to, right when we get done, I run over to 30 Bales to have one more drink before I have to go pick up my daughter.
Sure.
Right? So my wife wanted a glass of wine. I was having a non-drink drink.
Sure.
And people were coming in and I was kind of so jazzed up. I'm like, as they were walking in, I was like, wasn't that great? So like as people are walking in the door, I'm talking to them, and they just were all in the same boat. Like,
Cool.
what a fun time. The lake detective was super cool.
Yeah,
I didn't know he
was.
talked with his hands so much. That was really funny.
Yes.
The way he does it. But he was all jacked up. It was such a fun, cool event. You guys carried it off with such perfection. I was just so proud of you. It was so great.
Thank you.
And the best part of it, I looked at my wife because you started the show off with Fredaloni's Hardware and Garden Stores like 15 times. Joe just kept saying it. And my wife looks at me and she goes, "You're getting your money's worth for that promotion right here." And I'm like, yes, these 750 people know exactly who Fredaloni's Hardware and Garden is. They will all be customers.
Well, and it really was the snapshot of that's how the show is done. You know, because he's always ready to go, and typically we're not. Whether it's we're waiting for Rook to get in here from eating his lunch, or we're waiting for me to get everything set up and ready to record. But that's literally how we do the show every day.
What I think is kind of funny is I thought it was supposed to start at 7, but GLers are punctual.
Oh, yeah.
Because at like 6:30, every single seat was gone.
I was the last. No, I shouldn't say. Kenny and I were the last two to get into the quote unquote green room.
Okay.
And so, because I was still at 30 Bales talking to GLers. And so I finally said,
I gotta go.
I got to get over there. Holy crap, it's 1:45. So I hustled over there. Ross let me in the building. And John, Dylan, Steven C., Joe, and Kenny were sitting in the green room. And I walked in and said, "Hey, sorry." And Joe goes, "Where's Rook?" And I said, I don't know. He wasn't with me. And then Kenny goes, "I bet that you know what is out on stage already."
Sure
and
enough.
so I went, "Oh crap, I bet he is." So I walked out, and as soon as I got close to the stage, I could hear him talking.
Oh, you're kidding.
With no microphone.
Oh, really?
And I
Okay.
went, okay, he had the crowd in the palm of his hand.
Okay,
right?
good.
And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, should I interrupt? Or should I just stay here and let him have his, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Because I'm weighing, Joe really wants to get going and he wants Rookie back there for a minute.
Yeah.
Or should I just let Rook, and so I kind of stood there for a minute and let Rook go on. And finally I just came out and said, "Hey, Dip,"
Yeah.
And then the crowd went nuts. And I said, "Joe, we got to get going." And then we came back. It was fun. It was a good time. No, I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. It was cool both before and after to meet and talk to so many different, including my neighbor, who is a diehard fan of the
really?
show. Yeah, and so I got a chance to talk to him yesterday, really for the first time since I've moved to my house about a year ago. So it was awesome. I had a really good time.
I don't go to anything. I don't like anything. I don't like to go to anything. And this one, there's not something I could think that I'd change. Right?
Oh.
There's not. I mean, I was like, wow. Everything was seamless. The parking was seamless. The restaurant was great.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Cool.
If you don't know what we're talking about, tune into Garage Logic podcast, right? If you listen to this podcast and not that one, just plug in and listen to last night's show because it was absolutely well worth it.
You won't be disappointed.
You will not be disappointed.
So one of the things that we discussed is something that I know you kind of have an interest in, and that is the new arena at St. Thomas. So I need a couple of points of clarification because this basically broke right before we started doing the show yesterday.
11 a.m.
And
yesterday.
obviously, given Joe's ties and Rookie's ties to St. Thomas, University of St. Thomas, I thought, holy crap, they're getting a great donation and to basically build an on-campus, state-of-the-art facility for basketball and hockey, which is really cool. I thought
It's
it was
going to be
awesome.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
So there's a guy, Lee
You
Anderson.
told me something interesting. This is the third largest donation.
From what I understand, it's like the third largest collegiate sports donation in the history of college.
Holy crap.
Yeah,
I
mean,
did not know that.
And I might not be exactly right on that, but it's something very close to that where you're like, wait. So Lee Anderson, a gentleman who lives in Naples, Florida, here up north by the cab, and then I think he owns the house next to the Glensheen Mansion.
Okay.
I think that's all public record stuff. Gave $75 million to the University of St. Thomas. And I am elated for him. That is so just imagine how cool that would feel to be able to give $75 million to a school you care about.
No doubt, yeah.
And know that you're not going to you're still going to eat the next day, right? His life doesn't change if he gives away $75 million. And that was a monster gift. The largest gift, I think, ever in the history of colleges in Minnesota. Right, so there's never been a gift that big. I'm forgetting the stats, but it's some really weird stat. It is in like the top handful of gifts ever given to a college in the United States.
Wow.
And $75 million. So good for him, right? I don't know if he's a big boat guy. He owns like this incredible boat collection. And I think I can't remember the name of his company because it's not called Anderson Construction or something like that. He puts in like fire suppression systems, or his company did that. He sold it, right? But it's fire suppression systems, and every building that is any building anywhere, if it has more than a level, his company did it,
it's his
right?
deal.
It was
Okay.
his deal. So it was an incredibly profitable company. It's one of those companies where you just don't even think of like, oh, somebody must own that company. Who is it? Oh, it's the guy that has multiple $1 billion because he can give $75 million of it away.
So when this news broke, I was reading the story, all the stuff online that I could find. And then I texted a good friend of mine that I've been friends with for quite some time that may or may not have some ties to the for Mankato State University. And all the text said was RIP Maverick Hockey, because this is going to be, they're going to be one of the schools, I hope not, but they're going to be one of the schools that are going to be like, oh, no.
You're gonna go to St. Thomas, or you're gonna go to Mankato.
Which, you know what, though, I think, because I forget who asked me this, but someone had said, is this it? But I personally think this will more likely keep the kid that was going to maybe go to Boston or BC, maybe stay home, as opposed, because if you were why wouldn't you want to play hockey, college hockey in this state? For God's sake, this is now what, 6? Are we up to 6 Division I schools? Hockey?
Yeah.
Hold on. Mankato, St. Cloud, Gophers, Bemidji State, St. Thomas,
UMD.
Yeah, we're at 6. Wow. Anyway,
just think of that, right?
That's insane.
And it's the best. And we should be great at hockey. Like, I'm playing hockey, basically walking in from the parking lot, right? I've been sliding on the ice for a long time, but I'm very excited for the foundation team over at St. Thomas. Happens to be a couple people that I know, and they are literally winners. They are doing so well. It's unbelievable. They're making these relationships that last forever with people.
Yeah.
And I mean, that school is just on fire. If you want to send your kids to a great school, send them to that school. And this place, I've been reading up on what it's going to look like. It's going to have both, hockey and basketball, right? So a removable rink,
which is cool,
which is smart.
Yeah.
But then it has like another hockey rink, and then another 2 basketball courts. I'm like, wait, what? So it's going to have like 4 spots, not the arena, which seats 4,000, 5,000 or whatever, and then 2 more basketball courts and another hockey arena. I'm like, wait, another hockey arena tacked onto other hockey arena? It just sounds amazing. So good for them. They should be really, really proud for what they're accomplishing over there.
All right.
I gave $13. So FYI. And when I say I gave $13, one of the guys on the foundation, I bought him a drink once, and it was $13. So I kind of technically say I gave $13 to that.
Well, I had jokingly said, so, we talked about it very briefly on Garage Logic. I said, so, Joe, would you buy a toilet seat for the locker room?
Yeah.
I mean, what was your contribution for the new arena? Joe's a St. Thomas guy and a big hockey fan, so we had a little fun at his expense.
My good buddy Jeremy is a big benefactor. He likes to give to that college, and he is going to have a hot dog stand named after him. And I said, is it going to be a foot long? And he just laid his head down and said, nope, it's going to just be a regular old hot dog stand.
Wah, wah, wah. So speaking of last night's event, we had the ability to meet a lot of great people, but also reconnect to a number of people that are clients and advertisers with associated with Garage Logic. And one of the people that I unfortunately was not able to see last night because I don't think he was in attendance is our guy Dave Pounds with Slush Buster.
Yeah, he didn't come.
He wasn't able to make it because he's so busy delivering the Slush Busters.
Yeah, I was kind of mad that he didn't come because now I feel like I'm a friend of his.
But I will say this: when we were giving stuff away after all the pomp and circumstance was over with, we had a bunch of giveaways to do, including you were nice enough to give us a couple of gift cards, so thank you very much. But there was a kid. And I'm saying kid because he couldn't have been 30.
Oh,
he
really?
He had to have been in his 20s with his GL sweatshirt on.
Nice.
He was so jacked. He won a Slush Buster.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It was really cool. So I had a chance to chat with him very briefly. But anyway, I wanted to make mention because they are not only a proud supporter of Garage Logic, but also the weekly Scramble. And you can get your Slush Buster at Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores. And if you are unfamiliar, well, the Slush Buster was invented right here in Minnesota. Dave Pounds is the inventor, and he got tired of the corrosive slush that was rusting his cars and damaging his garage floor. And the old broomstick and boot wasn't cutting it anymore. So he came up with the Slush Buster to get rid of that slush. And it's fantastic. And you can find it at any one, hopefully, of 21 Fratelloni's Hardware.
Call ahead because they're selling fast.
They are. Okay. Yeah. And also at Wellna Ace Hardware in Robbinsdale. You can also find it on Amazon. But if you are unable to get it at Fratelloni's or Wellna Ace, just go to slushbuster.us. That's slushbuster.us and place your order because I got news for you. Winter ain't over anytime soon.
And it cleans. I did this. I cleaned my rocker panels. right? So it's not just your wheel well. You can just walk down the side of your car because it's plastic. It doesn't scratch anything.
Good
right?
idea.
And just clean off your rocker panels. I'm like, oh, I didn't even really, because usually you get that snow stuck to the back of them.
Yeah.
Well, if you sweep it off with this
There
thing,
you
brush it off, it
go.
really works well. So I'm
Interesting.
mad that he didn't come. I would have bought him a drink.
But it was cool. So I was looking forward to. I talked to Linda Keller with Keller Tax Services. I was able to talk to Jim with Hofferman Water. It was great.
I talked to Jim too.
You did?
He's a fun guy.
Yeah, Jim's cool.
Yeah.
Can I share you a quick story about?
Yes.
So Jim. So before I moved to Jordan, I was living in Carver, Minnesota, with, and this is not hyperbole, the worst water in the entire state, and it's documented that literally because Carver just grew too fast.
Sure,
they couldn't keep up with. They exploded and they didn't have the infrastructure.
Yep.
And so I remember thinking, well, what the hell here? My house isn't 5 years old. Why is my water softener take? Well, I had really crappy equipment because oftentimes home builders, you have a really nice house, but we're slapping a label on, basement bottom equipment to facilitate this house.
Yeah, get it done. Yeah.
So he came. So Jim, I called him up. Thought, you know what? If I'm going to get something, I want to get something great. So I called him up. He came in and he just said, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Sure." He goes, "Are you the guy on GL?" And I said, "Yeah, that's." He goes, "Oh, I'm a huge fan." So anyway,
that's funny.
That's literally how the relationship started.
Oh, that's cool. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say it was completely organic. Like this wasn't, hey, I got it. No, I bought the product and then met the guy that just happened to be a fan of the show.
That's very cool.
Which is cool.
We were talking to him. My wife and I were talking to him, and her grandparents owned a water company and still do own a water company in Fargo-Moorhead area.
Okay.
Right? And he says, well, what's his name? And he's Tom George. And he's like, I know him. We were just at the bar a year ago because he has a cabin up in Leech Lake and they live up in Leech now on Leech Lake. And he's like, how is that possible? I'm like, what a small world.
That's crazy.
What a small world. And then he said he wanted to do this because he had been an avid listener to the beer show. And I think this is a great idea.
I love this idea.
Yeah,
yes.
He wants to have us find maybe Liftbridge because I think Liftbridge would be a good partner for this. They need to make a beer with their water, right? So they need to make the Hofferman's water, right? And is it Hofferman? Hofferman, but what's the name of the main company? Hofferman.
Well, it's Connecticut Water
so
Treatment
it's the Hofferman version of Connecticut treatments.
Yep.
And they wanted, so it's a Connecticut system by Hofferman that makes a beer, and I thought it would be a Hofferman Hefeweizen, which would just be so great. You could name it that, with just the best water you can get. And I wonder how much, and he brought that idea, and I'm like, I am all over that. I talked to Dan Seaman, the powers that be here that can make something like that happen. Dan's in charge of all this stuff, by the way. He's like just right under. Maybe his middle name's Hubbard. I don't even know, but he's in charge.
Did you
of
like
all
how
this.
I avoided him at all costs last night?
Do I? He was having a blast.
He kept trying to talk about. No, I got to go over this.
Oh, I got to
go over this way.
So when we went back into the bar was empty. Right when we left last night, post show, went back to the bar. It was completely empty. Right, we get in there, we sit down at the bar. All of a sudden, 2 seconds later, Seaman comes in and sits right next to us. I was like, "Oh, you jumped out of there." He goes, "Yeah, I wanted to get back. I need to eat." He needed to get a quick burger.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's hopefully we can figure out how to do this Connecticut water system by Hofferman and just make it a cool Hefeweizen. I think that would be great.
Can I throw in another?
Yeah.
If we're gonna do this,
yes,
let's do a Hofferman Hefeweizen. But we also need to make a seltzer.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because water's clear. Maybe a seltzer would even be better. I thought the double H sounded cool.
It does sound cool.
Yeah.
Or we can find some alliteration for some type of H sounding seltzer. Water.
Yes. Yeah.
The Hofferman seltzer.
I mean, I like it.
Why not?
Yeah, I think it would be great. So we'll have to get in touch.
Non-flavored seltzer.
But then, with no sparkle or just straight water. Just no flavor. It's just water flavored.
Yes.
That's not a bad idea. I actually think I would like that.
Almost like what's the fancy green bottle?
Yes, LaCroix.
A
Perrier.
Perrier.
Yes.
That's what I'm thinking of because my wife drinks that stuff.
Yeah.
So almost that type of just a tonic flavored.
Oh, that sounds good. Oh, can I tell you that I went out the other day? So it was my birthday the other day.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I went out and my wife surprised me and brought a couple of my buddies.
Aww.
Right? And I didn't expect that. And we went all the way down to Burnsville.
Wives do that, huh?
Yeah, they
Wow.
do. They can, right?
Interesting.
And so I was so brain damaged on it. I sit down at the table and I said, why did they give us such a big table? Like, I just didn't get it. And my little brain didn't connect, like, oh, some people are coming. So my buddies all came. We went way down in Burnsville. I live in St. Paul. Went way down in Burnsville and to the Mediterranean.
Way down in Burnsville. Well, you drove to Missouri.
No, but, you don't really go all down to Burnsville if you're in St. Paul, right?
I know what you're saying.
And all my buddies live in St. Paul, too. So we all went down to Burnsville to this Mediterranean Cruise Cafe.
Oh, cool.
If you've ever been to the Mediterranean Cruise Cafe.
What's the name of it?
Mediterranean Cruise Cafe.
Oh, that's the name of
it.
Oh.
And it's right in downtown Burnsville.
Okay.
And it has, if there's such a thing as downtown Burnsville, and they have those belly dancers. So like a belly dancer will do this little show on the inside.
Oh.
And so my kids were there. I mean, it's a family place, right?
Sure.
Food is fantastic. So we ordered a bunch of food. It was a great, great time. And then it was about 8 o'clock, and then my buddy says, who I didn't know he was going to come, right? Because I thought it was just going to just be me and my kids and my wife. And he said, there's our band, my buddy's band from a long time ago is playing at Shamrocks on West 7th. And I said, well, it's 8 o'clock. Like, my mind is like, I'm not going there.
Right.
It's 8. By the time I get back to St. Paul, it's going to be 8:25. I'm not going out. Like, I'm done. So about 2 o'clock in the morning, I am still out, right? I am still out. I'm like, I have not stayed out, Reverse. And the best part is I don't really drink that much, right? I'll have like the whole night I had 2.5 beers or something in 7 hours.
Okay.
And I'm like, why am I still awake? Like, how am I still awake, right? Why am I still at a bar till 2 o'clock? It was the most fun. This band called Reckless Professionals played
God.
They're just so Reckless Professionals happen to be a bunch of friends of mine. And they were just off the chart. The bar was packed solid.
Wow.
And I was excited for St. Paul.
Cool.
That, it was Friday night, right? It was Friday night. But still, just to be packed solid and just to see my buddies. I haven't had a night where I went out with buddies in a long, I mean, years. I haven't had a night where I went out till 2 o'clock in, few years, right?
I'm trying to think
especially
of
without
last,
my wife.
I was going to say, I don't even remember the last time I've done that.
Yeah.
That's good for you, man. That's awesome.
One of my best buddies who's in the restaurant business,
Yep.
he doesn't go to bed till like 4:30 because he doesn't get home.
That's his time.
Yeah, he
frame.
has to work late, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, well, I'm going to go see what's going on. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to bed. I need to sleep for 10 hours because I'm exceptionally tired. But boy, it was a super fun time. I had a couple of good events this week.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. We have to talk about it. In fact, I'm not going to lie.
Mm-hmm.
Monday evening, I got a little sentimental.
Did you?
I did. So brothers sometimes tend to be competitive when they're growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And I have two brothers, and we were pretty competitive with one another. And I have two sons. And that's quite literally what they do every minute that they're awake, is they have to compete against one another, which I think is very good and very healthy.
Yeah.
Because that's going to create competition inside of them. And so my oldest son was told that by his uncle, you know how cool it is that you have a professional team named after you. And he's like, what? He's like, yeah, the Buffalo Bills. His name is William. Bill could be your nickname.
Yeah.
So he's been a Bills fan.
He
And he loves Josh Allen.
Okay.
He's a Viking fan, but that's like his other team. And so then my youngest son says, hey, Dad. And I go, what's up, buddy? He goes, who's the best quarterback of all time? I said, well, probably Tom Brady. Okay, that's my new favorite team. Just because it had to be someone better than his brother's team.
Yeah, okay.
So I allowed him, even though it was a school night, he could stay up and watch the Buccaneers playoff game, knowing that if they lost, this could very well be Tom Brady's last game.
Yep.
And I'll show it to you, but I got a great photo of him sitting on our couch. Here, I'll pull it up. In fact, I think it was the last. Oh, that's right. No, I took photos from the other night. So I took a photo of him.
Okay, I'm going to scoot over. Hold on.
In his Tom Brady jersey, watching Tom Brady's probably last game, right?
Cute, right?
Okay. So I took that and I thought, should I tweet this out? And I thought, no, this is for me. I don't need to tweet that out and get all sappy and crappy because then Kenny will just make fun of me. So I didn't do that. However, I was looking up some Tom Brady stuff online. Tom Brady got duped.
Why is that?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
I love this story.
Okay.
I love it because this story is so 2023. You ready? Mm-hmm. Talk about a genius move to gain social media followers. At Lacey Brown, and based upon what I had to do for investigative research for this story, I had to see who Lacey Brown was.
Okay.
A very attractive 28-year-old blonde girl who resides in the Tampa area.
Got it.
All right. Just for research purposes for the show.
It's just color, just adding color to the story.
Lacey Brown shares a story about a woman who tricked millions of people into thinking she was Tom Brady's new girlfriend.
Oh.
Lacey starts by saying that the woman showed up to a Buccaneers game wearing Tom Brady's jersey. A lot of people do that, so that's not unusual. She then posted a racy picture of herself holding a teddy bear with Tom Brady's number on it to her Instagram account. She's probably not the first person to do that either. Then in her stories, she was watching the Bucs playoff game while cheering him on and acting quite anxious, just like a significant other would. Tom Brady doesn't follow her or like her posts, but people think she might be her boyfriend. And she went from having 1 million followers to over 3.5 million seemingly overnight. She knows what she's doing. She's a marketing genius. How 2023 is that story?
Do you think that it's possible that Tom Brady will see that and give me a call? Hey.
No.
Why not? Why wouldn't you? He's single now. He can do whatever he wants to do.
You're Tom freaking Brady.
So what?
I know.
Yeah, you gotta do a little bit of
do
A-Rod.
you seriously think Tom Brady needs to do that?
No, but it would be fun. It would be a great story.
And okay, can I be honest? And I'm a Brady guy.
Yeah,
I do like Tom Brady. In fact, I've said this a number of times. When he officially retires, I'm going to be sad because for me, it's like there's still somebody my age out there doing it because we're not that. We're about 6 months apart.
Gotta retire.
I agree because he's not. He just doesn't have it anymore. I agree with you completely.
So, but
he's 45.
Do you think Rodgers is going to retire too?
I don't give a damn about Aaron Rodgers. But what I was going to say about Tom is, the more I've studied him,
okay.
Do you know what I realize about him?
No.
He's a dork.
Yeah. Okay.
To the point where he's socially awkward. If you really pay attention to him. So it stems from all of my vast research over the last 23 years of following Tom Brady. But you'll see him. When he's being interviewed, he's very matter of fact. When he's at a podium, at a press game, he's very polished. He knows the points he wants to get across. He's very calculated. But when you see him, for instance, after Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl, and you see them when he tossed the trophy from the boat,
so fun.
But then you just kind of see him with the guys.
Yeah,
he's a dork.
Yeah,
and I think that makes me almost like him more because he's just kind of that socially awkward dork. That's just so happens to be a multi-millionaire successful football player.
I'd like to be that kind of dork, I guess.
Oh, me too, 100%. And by the way, when he's done playing, he's got this $350 million television contract waiting for him.
Remember when he did that golf thing where he paired up?
Thank you.
He was funny because they had them mic'd up.
But it was always, hey guys, remember when?
Yeah, he seemed very real, right?
Yeah.
And I do think a lot of athletes have kind of truncated experience with people because all they do is play sports.
Good point.
Right? So they don't get a lot of social time. They don't get a lot of dating. They don't get, later on they do, right? But, a lot of them just marry their high school sweethearts because that's who they know they can trust.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that would be a nice problem to have. Good luck to Tom Brady. That Lacey.
I got her.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend that I'm dating Lacey. See, I'll wear Lacey's number.
Jersey.
Yeah, I'll wear some of her nylons or something. Her high heels, maybe.
That's kind of weird.
I've never done that.
That's okay.
It'd be supportive, I bet.
But I just thought, I just thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that is a pretty good story.
And because we have to always provide not quite the
I do
weekly.
have a question too. I got to remember.
Please go ahead.
Okay, you tell me when.
No, go ahead.
Can I go now?
Yeah.
Remember Joe during the podcast yesterday?
Oh God.
Joe Souchere. He talked about that person who put a $1.4 million bet.
Oh yeah.
What? Can you run that story by me again?
Okay. Yeah, I kind of followed it, but I'll look it up here. Hang on.
So if I'm not mistaken, at mid game of San Diego, the Rams versus
the Chargers.
The Chargers. Okay.
No, the Jaguars
versus the Chargers. They were down 27 points, and in the middle the middle of the second quarter, this guy placed a $1.4 million bet.
Okay,
go ahead.
Here we go. This is from the New York Post. The Chargers weren't the only ones who lost big. One bettor wasted a massive $1.4 million wager after betting on Los Angeles before the Jaguars mounted an epic comeback to beat the Chargers 31-30, according to Darren Ravel of Action Network. The Chargers came into Sunday's game as a 3.5-point favorite and had a big cushion at one point, a 27-0 lead. This is why it's crucial.
Sure.
So they had a 27-0 lead shortly before halftime.
Okay.
The unlucky gambler, so he made the bet when the Chargers were up 27 to nothing, meaning, well, I got to front one and a half. I'm just saying $1.5 million to make $11,000, which is kind of stupid.
Well, I mean, it's a guaranteed win, you'd think.
But
what are the chances that someone comes back from 27 to nothing?
The unlucky gambler would have only made a net profit of $11,200. So some would say, well, that's just free money. Okay.
But you're risking.
More times than not, you're probably right. If the Chargers had won, it's unknown who originally placed said bet. So obviously the Jaguars come back. I think it was the third largest comeback in NFL playoff history.
Okay.
So not only did he not win that money, he lost $1.4 million.
So you bet $1.4 million to win 11 grand, or net to win 11 grand.
Mm-hmm.
That is not a big percentage, right? But you think to yourself, hey, if I can throw around $1 million and pick up 15 grand every weekend on these crazy bets, right? That's not a bad deal. 15 grand on a day is not bad. But all you have to do is get burned one time.
And you're screwed.
Mm-hmm. That is an amazing stat. What an amazing bet that was.
I was asked, because I watch a lot of football.
Mm-hmm.
And now that my boys are getting involved, like they love watching football.
Okay.
So we that's kind of what consumes our weekends, because we're not going out, we're not doing anything.
Sure.
We're just sitting home and watching. Anyway. And
slush busting.
And slush busting. And my wife had said, how come you don't bet on football? You seem to know a lot about it. I said, because I like my money.
Yeah.
There's a reason that MGM has a really nice multi-billion-dollar complex. It's not because they're handing out money to guys like me that are betting on sports.
Yeah.
They're smart. They know what they're doing.
They get it. No matter. They want you to not lose a lot and not win a lot.
Yeah.
They want you to just break even.
They just want
so
the
you
house
keep,
to shift.
Yep. They want to make their little cut of every bet, no matter what. If you lose all your money too fast, that's not good for them, right? You need to win a little bit and lose a little bit.
And
that was an incredible story. I'm glad you guys brought that one up. I had never heard that one.
Well, it was funny because when Joe had started to mention the story, I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, how did he lose? I was trying to figure out that, but then when he shared the part was, he made the bet in the midst of the second quarter when the Chargers had this lead.
So I wonder if anybody made that equal and opposite bet. Do you think anybody put $5,000 for the win?
No, but I do know of someone that did it during the Viking game, the one where they came back and beat the Colts.
Oh, really?
I'm not even going to say somebody I know, but it's someone that I know that someone I know had said, I'll put down a hundo on the Vikes, just what the hell, and they ended up winning a couple grand.
Oh, really? Okay.
And I have no idea what the validity of the story is, or the origin, or what time it was placed.
You can gamble right up to the very end of a game.
Yeah. And
it's so weird.
And I'll be honest, I love sports. It's still great. Yeah. I don't like how much the betting aspect of sports has infiltrated your sports viewing.
It's changed.
It really has. And I don't think this is for the better. I'm no prude. You want to gamble, you go right ahead. That's your problem. But I just don't like the way it's seriously seeped into every aspect of sports.
Yeah,
because
another radio station in this town, that's all they talk about is gambling.
Literally all they talk about. And that's fine. There's a lot of people that have an interest in it. I'm just not one of them. I'm here to see if Patrick Mahomes is going to win on Saturday afternoon. I don't give a damn what the spread is.
Can we talk about KQRS?
Sure.
I mean, so one of the greatest all-time radio DJs, right? Tom Bernard leaves 92 KQRS after, 37 years?
I believe so.
37 years. And comes to where? Hubbard Broadcasting.
Yeah.
I did not know he started on 1500 AM 1500.
I did know that, but completely forgot about it until the story surfaced last week.
So he's coming home.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And arguably he has the #1 radio career in Minnesota, right?
You better hope that guy's not in the other
No,
room.
I mean, Joe is podcaster now. He's no longer a radio. But, he had a very, very successful radio career.
Sure.
If I'm not mistaken, they were the #1 radio show in the nation as a percentage of capital listening to their show.
Morning Drive. Yep.
Morning Drive for many years. Have you listened to Steve Gorman yet? The new replacement.
I guess I have not.
Fantastic.
Oh, really?
He is great.
I have not listened to it.
I'm listening to everybody. I listen to everybody a little bit.
You're a radio guy.
I'm a radio guy. I
Yeah.
like to have live radio. I listen to a ton of podcasts. I never hardly watch TV. I listen to something because I'm always doing something, right? But the Steve Gorman was the drummer to the Black Crowes. Did you know that?
Oh, yeah. Well, because I read the story.
You read up.
Yep.
He's funny. The show's sped up. I mean, it's just great. I think there's a resurgence for KQ.
Cool.
So what I want to do
Good for them.
is I want Hubbard to buy KQ. I don't know why. I just think that sounds like we should buy them. But are you excited have you heard anything about this Tom Bernard podcast that's going to be, or radio show, or Radcast? Is it going to be a Radcast, radio and podcast?
It's going to be set up to the way I understand it. It will be set up very similar to the way that Garage Logic is set up, where there will be obviously a podcasting component to it, but there will also be a way to live stream the actual show when it's being
created.
Created.
So it's going to be a live podcast, but you can watch it on YouTube or whatever.
Yep.
Well, that's going to be exciting. That happens sometime in February.
In fact, the seat that you're sitting in was where Tom was doing his photo shoot.
Really?
Because this would have been was it Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever it was last week.
Okay.
Because I happened to walk in like, I'll come back. You know, they were in here doing stuff, so I had to come back.
Are you now the producer of that show too?
No.
Did they just say to you, oh, by the way, you also do Tommy B's?
Well, in fact, I'm not even sure where they're physically going to. I don't think they're going to do it in this
here.
room.
Yeah.
I think
or if they're even going to do
else.
it in the state.
Yeah.
Are they going to do it? I mean,
I can't remember exactly.
I always had this memory of Tom Bernard living in Florida and doing his show from Florida. And I don't know if that was ever real. Someone said that one time, like, he's not even there. He does it from Florida. I'm like, oh, is that true? That's kind of cool.
You could ask him.
Yeah, I could ask him. I'll do that.
Now that you two are coworkers.
Oh, I had never even thought of that.
How
I work
about
at the
that?
same radio station. Talk about icons at this station, though.
I mean,
right?
You got Reavers. You
got Reavers. You got Rookie. You got John Haidt. Not Kenny. I'm not talking about Kenny. You got Souchere. You got Royce. You got. Do we have anybody on ESPN still? You got Phil and Mackey.
Phil is Mackey.
Oh, you got Phil or Mackey? I knew that. I knew Phil Mackey.
You know, that's when I got in trouble with the girls.
Why is that?
Well, years ago, before I had made the switch to working with the guys fully in the afternoon in Garage Logic, I was on this station called My Talk 107.1.
Super popular.
And I was doing the midday show with my friend Colleen Cruz. And then I had started to fill in on 1500 when they flipped to sports. And then I kind of went over there after our show was dismissed. Well, in any event, there's this afternoon show on 107.1 called Lori and Julia. And they were the OGs. I mean, they were the first show that helped launch that radio station because I believe they were the only live and local show. I think the rest of the station was syndicated when it first launched.
Okay.
And so they just celebrated their 20th anniversary, which is great.
And to say it, I mean, it's an incredibly successful radio station.
And it's very unique because I believe it's the only one in the country. Well, in any event, so I've had some history with that radio station. It was my entry level to coming to work for the Hubbard family. So years ago when I was on that station, Lori and Julia routinely had time off to the point where they would always negotiate, well, I want another week of vacation or whatever. I want to get to the Souchere levels, they would always say.
Oh,
so
Souchere never takes time off.
So when we would do what they call live reads or live liners within programming, so let's say you got a commercial break, you're coming back from break, and it's sometimes you do a forecast, or sometimes you, hey, listen to such and such for your chance to win tickets to such and such, right?
Yep.
So I started calling it the Lori or Julia show because one of them was always gone. And I got pulled into the office and said, you need to stop saying that.
Oh,
and I said,
that's funny.
I'm just having fun.
Just joking. I'm just joshing.
The Lori or Julia show.
Yeah.
I said, no,
it's a 50-50 thing.
Right. One of them might be here today.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I got in trouble for doing that.
But now you're like, what are you going to do? I run the
GL
podcast.
You know me. I've never been.
No, you wouldn't do that.
Anyway, so thank you for your kind words about yesterday. That was a lot of fun, and thank you for showing up because that was awesome too.
Thank you for having me. It was super fun.
Yeah,
I can't wait till we have our 1000th show.
Oh my goodness! Think of that. Did you like the cheap shot I took at you?
I did. You threw that out there.
So what I said was, I looked at Joe when we were talking about the numbering the shows. And I go, you know what you've done, by the way, is Because I knew you had said earlier you didn't know if you were going to be able to stay for the whole thing because I knew you had to go pick up your girls from volleyball. And so I wanted to make sure if I was going to issue said cheap shot, I wanted to make sure that you were going to be there.
Wonderful.
And when I heard you say yes, I go, all right, so he's still here. Yeah. And then I said, well, now because you've done that, now Mike insists on numbering our shows. So thanks a lot for doing that.
10 years, I think I'm gonna actually work it out. I'll go back and look to see how many shows we have, and I think we're at really close to 500, maybe 400. But
so speaking of the University of St. Thomas, the Tommies men's hockey team is back in action this weekend at home in Mendota Heights. Come out and see the exciting Division I hockey team at a great price as the Tommies battle conference rival Bowling Green this Thursday and Friday night. Go to TommySports.com to buy your tickets or just stop by the box office the day of the game. You can find more information online at TommySports.com.
And in 2025, you're going to be at a brand new stadium, and it's going to be unbelievable.
I'm not kidding when I say this. I guarantee they're going to have a waiting list for season tickets.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be great. Where do they play in Mendota Heights?
At STA.
Oh, at STA. Okay. Yep. Oh, that's a good arena.
In fact, I was going to take the Mavericks were there a while back, and I thought I should take the boys over to STA, but then I'm thinking, well, it only seats, I think, 1,000 people, and they're getting better, and a lot of people want to go to their games. I thought, that's going to be a nightmare just trying to get in and out of there. So I thought, I'll wait. I'll go at a different time.
What a cool thing, though.
Yeah, very
what a cool thing. I didn't know they advertised. I knew they advertised on our station.
Well, 1,500 is now your home for Tommy Sports.
I think that's going to be a really smart thing to do.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it's going to be a really smart thing.
Thank you, Michael.
Hey, Reavers, you're the best.
Please do us a favor, rate and review the show wherever you happen to be listening to the Weekly Scramble. We greatly appreciate it. His name is Mike Fratelloni. My name is Chris Reavers. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will talk to you again next week. Until then, cheers.